Hey guys, it's that time of year again. The day after Selection Sunday. We all know what that is. Filling out as many brackets as humanly possible. It's March Madness, baby! So to avoid making this video like 30 minutes long, I'm just going to jump right into it with my picks for each game. Not too much analysis. Like I said, I don't want it to be like an hour long. So I'm on ESPN.com. And on ESPN.com, they're doing a tournament challenge. You can submit up to 25 entries per person. As you can see already, this will be my 22nd bracket. In my initial bracket, which I did on another website, I had Gonzaga winning. So let's jump right into it. First matchup, Gonzaga, Georgia State. Obviously, we're going to pick the 1 seeds pretty much in all the first round games. Then we go to the 8-9, Boise State and Memphis. For the 8-9 games, you basically can flip a coin, and that'll be more correct than your guesses probably. Since I've been going back and forth on these, I'd say Boise State, slightly more consistent, but it could go either way. Number 5, UConn. Number 12, New Mexico State. So New Mexico State is definitely the people's choice for the prime Cinderella upset against UConn. I sort of agree. New Mexico State has a little bit more speed, I think a little more offense. UConn's defense is a little better, but I still like the edge for New Mexico State. Arkansas and Vermont. Okay, so is it me or is Vermont always the team that comes in and they're going to be the Cinderella story. They're going to make Sweet 16 out of nowhere, and then they do nothing, right? So then I think it's going to be the same. I think Arkansas hasn't had the best momentum coming into the postseason, but they're used to winning now. Moving on, Alabama against the winner of the play-in game in Rutgers and Notre Dame. I would predict Rutgers to beat Notre Dame in that game. They've had some impressive wins in the middle of the season. They've cooled off at the end of the season. I still think Alabama just is more consistent, and I know what I'm going to get from Alabama as opposed to Rutgers or Notre Dame, so I'm going to pick Alabama. Texas Tech, Montana State. Texas Tech is always the team that I can't remember when they've been upset. When they've been a top seed, they normally win. So I'm going Texas Tech. Michigan State, Davidson. Davidson with a bad loss in their conference championship game to Richmond. And Tom Izzo. You got to go Michigan State, right? So Duke against Cal State Fullerton. Coach K's final postseason, final March Madness. I just don't expect any sort of upsets in any of the 15 games. So let's move on. Baylor, Norfolk State. Once again, 116. We're going Baylor. North Carolina, Marquette. I'm rooting for Marquette, but they have been a young, streaky team, and they're going up a bad matchup against North Carolina, more of a veteran team. I like North Carolina. St. Mary's against the winner of Wyoming and Indiana. I like Indiana to take out Wyoming, but St. Mary's has been sort of that dark horse team that I like coming into the tournament. UCLA, Akron. UCLA basically bringing back a lot of their starters from last year, like Juzang. I like UCLA a lot. Texas, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech just winning the ACC tournament over Duke. Texas has just been sort of like up and down. You don't really know what you're going to get from Texas. I just think Virginia Tech is coming in with the momentum. Purdue, Yale. I like Purdue in this one. They were a top 10 team for a good part of the season, sort of fell off at the end, but came back strong in the conference tournament, didn't win. But Murray State, San Fran. It's just a gut feeling. I'm going San Fran. I think they've had a little bit better competition with having to play Gonzaga and St. Mary's. So I'm going to go with them. Kentucky, St. Peter's. Yeah, Kentucky. Some of these don't really need explanation. We're going Arizona, Seton Hall, TCU, once again, flip a coin. Gut feeling tells me TCU. Houston, UAB. I just think Houston the last few seasons has been on a roll. Great coaching. Illinois against Chattanooga. This one, again, I'm a little surprised that more people are picking Chattanooga, it seems like, but Illinois is bringing back all their starters. I know they choked in the postseason last year, but it's going to be Illinois. Colorado State against Michigan. So Michigan is surprisingly an 11 seed. They were 17 and 14. I sort of thought they might be left out of the tournament. Colorado State, I think, is just a little more consistent, even though they don't have as many like big wins. Tennessee against Longwood. Tennessee coming in very hot, playing very aggressive on offense. They have great rebounders and drivers. This to me could be one of those like crazy like upsets. So I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go Longwood just out of nowhere. There's always one or two, so I'm just going to do it. Ohio State, Loyola. Has Loyola lost a first-round game when Sister Jean's watching? I don't think so. So I'm just going to go Loyola. Villanova and Delaware. Once again, a 2-15. Every once in a while, you'll get a 15 beating a 2, but not in this tournament, I don't think. Let's move on. Midwest bracket. Kansas, Texas Southern. Okay, Kansas winning. San Diego State against Creighton. I'm going to go Creighton. Iowa against Richmond. Once again, this is another one where I'm debating picking the upset, but I think Iowa just has better shooters from the outside. Providence, South Dakota State. I think South Dakota State has more of a speed advantage and a fast break game. Providence, great shooters again. This one's going to be really close. But I'm going to go with South Dakota State. All right. See, I've been making so many brackets. I'm trying to do an original one, but LSU, Iowa State. I'm going to go LSU. They've been sort of the consistent under-the-radar team, I think, this season. Wisconsin, Colgate. Wisconsin has overachieved this season. I'm a Badger fan. Colgate is going to be difficult, especially if their outside shooting is working like it normally is. But I'm still going to go Wisconsin. I think Johnny Davis, after having such a horrible conference tournament, he's going to bounce back. USC, Miami, once again, flip a coin. But I think with Mobley, the height with Mobley, USC is going to win. Auburn, Jacksonville State, once again, Auburn. So let's move back on up. Back to the second round, West region. Gonzaga, Boise State. I like Gonzaga. Just too much height. Too much height, too much explosiveness. New Mexico State, Arkansas. This is where I think the speed of Arkansas is going to catch up a little bit to New Mexico State, so I'm going Arkansas. Alabama, Texas Tech. Like I said earlier, Texas Tech rarely loses when they're the higher seed. I don't see them losing to Alabama here either. Michigan State, Duke. So in my original bracket, I had this as the big upset of the tournament. To me, it wouldn't really be that big of an upset for Michigan State to beat Duke in Coach K's last game. It sort of makes sense to me, so I'm going to go with it. Michigan State. All right, Baylor and North Carolina in the second round in the East region. I'm going... This is another one. So many teams this season, it's like, are good but not great. These two I feel like are very equivalent. I'm just going to go slightly more experience with Baylor. You'll get a little bit more of a consistent play, so I'll go Baylor. St. Mary's, UCLA, another amazing matchup. So many great matchups in the second round. I just think UCLA has pretty much the same team as last year, and we saw what they did last year, so I'm just going to pick them. Virginia Tech, Purdue. Purdue, I feel like, has underachieved, and Virginia Tech is coming in as sort of the team that's rolling. Their outside shooting with Aline is really on point right now. I'm going to go with the upset. Virginia Tech, an 11 seed, move into the Sweet 16. San Fran and Kentucky. I just don't think San Fran has the physicality to match up with Kentucky, so I'm going Kentucky. moving up to the South bracket. Let me just make sure my camera isn't in the way. Nope, we're good. So Arizona, TCU. I like Arizona in this one. I just don't see how TCU wins that one. Houston, Illinois. This one is going to be a physical game. Both teams rely on offensive rebounds and forward and center play. I just think, once again, like the UCLA matchup, Illinois has the same starters. So they should be ready. They should know their game a little more, so I'm going Illinois. Colorado State, Longwood. Whenever there's a major upset in the first round, that Cinderella story, especially when they're like a 13 seed or lower, they don't normally win the next game, so I'm going Colorado State. Loyola Chicago against Villanova. Oh, God. I hate to pick against Sister Jean because she always burns me when I do. But I'm going to go Villanova. They're just better. They're better. And Loyola Chicago has overachieved this season. They lost a lot of their starters, and they're still in the tournament. All right, moving on. Let me just double check here with my camera. Just going to move it a little bit over. All right, Kansas and Creighton. Second round in the Midwest. We're going Kansas. Iowa, South Dakota State. Potential upset, honestly. I just said, but 13 seeds normally don't make it that far, so we're going Iowa. LSU, Wisconsin. In my original bracket, I had LSU upsetting Wisconsin. The more I think about it, though, the more I think if Wisconsin can get back on a little bit of a winning streak, they have the advantage, so I'm going Wisconsin. USC, Auburn. This is another one. Auburn sort of struggled at the end of the season this year, and USC is coming on stronger, I think, so I'm going USC in the upset. All right, let's move the camera again. All right, moving on to the Sweet 16, Gonzaga and Arkansas. We have the speedy Arkansas team. They're going to try to get as many turnovers and fast break opportunities as possible. They don't want to let Gonzaga get set, and if it's just a half-court game, Gonzaga should win this. And I think Gonzaga is going to be able to play their game a lot more than Arkansas will. Texas Tech, Michigan State. It would be like Michigan State to upset Duke and then throw in sort of a dud of a game against Texas Tech. That's how I see it happening if this was the matchup. So I'm going Texas Tech. All right, to the East Sweet 16, Baylor, UCLA. So this is a tough one. Baylor doesn't have like the three-point shooting team that they did last year. They're much more of like an inside-out team. UCLA pretty much has all the same people. And I'm going to go with the Bruins. So defending champions aren't going to win again this season. Virginia Tech against Kentucky. All good things must come to an end for Virginia Tech. I think they might be the tiredness factor, sort of using up all their adrenaline, might hit at this stage of the tournament. I like Kentucky. They've just been more of a consistent team this season. All right, time to move my camera back. All right, so we're moving on. Sweet 16, South region, Arizona and Illinois. Coming into the season and midway point, I was like, oh, Arizona is going to win this whole thing. That's what I thought in my mind. Illinois has that team that in the middle to late part of the season, I was like, oh, they're playing like the 1 seed from last year. But I'm going to go with Arizona. It could go either way. I mean, that's a tough one. Illinois really should be more like a 2 or a 3 if they didn't have like that awful start to the season. Colorado State, Villanova. I just think Villanova has more tournament experience. Jay Wright as the coach. They know how the pressure is in these type of games in the Sweet 16. I think Colorado State's just going to be glad to be there. So I'm going to go Villanova. All right, and now Kansas in the Midwest section. Kansas, Iowa, Sweet 16. Kansas to me is always the team, like, lately, whenever they get to the Sweet 16, I'm like, okay, they're going to lose soon. Like, very rarely have they made, like, deep runs when they're the 1 seed. But there's nothing to tell me that Iowa is going to beat them. I mean, they have the outside shooting, but I just think Kansas is a little stronger. Wisconsin, USC. I am going to go. You know, the advantage for USC is in the paint. Advantage for Wisconsin is like the 3-point shooting of Davis, Hepburn, and Davison. So I'm going to go Wisconsin. I'm trying not to be like a Badger homer, but I have to. All right, so let's move the camera one more time. I think if we go to the center here. So let's see. For the Elite Eight, Gonzaga, Texas Tech, I'm going Gonzaga. Texas Tech, like I said, made it to how they should be, and now they face the higher seed Gonzaga. And Gonzaga, after losing last year, I'm sure has a little bit of fire in their belly, so they're going for it. UCLA, Kentucky. I'm going UCLA. We're setting up the same matchup in the Final Four from last year, so I'm a little not quite sure on that, but all right. And then we have Arizona and Villanova. Both teams really great three-point shooting teams, probably the two best in the tournament. I think Arizona has more of a threat from the outside, more shooters, more options. So I'm going to go Arizona. Moving on. Kansas, Wisconsin. Oof. This is the problem. I don't want to pick either of these teams, but we've gotten to this point. So I'm going to choose... You know, Wisconsin has overachieved, so I'm just going to pick Wisconsin because that would be overachieving to make the Final Four. All right, so the Final Four then I have is Gonzaga and UCLA and Arizona and Wisconsin. I think out of all the 1 seeds, I would say, well, I'm trying to see here. I'd actually say Kansas did have the easiest bracket from a 1 seed perspective. Baylor probably has the toughest road with North Carolina, St. Mary's, UCLA. So Gonzaga, UCLA, it's a rematch of last year. I think Gonzaga has a similar team. They're missing a couple players from last year. UCLA basically has the same team. And UCLA is coming on strong, and both teams are. It's tough to really tell. But normally when there's like a rematch in the Final Four, it switches, right? Normally you don't get the same winner. Just being a Wisconsin fan, I know how that is. We had to play Kentucky like 2 years in a row, and they beat us in the Final Four, and then we beat them. I think it's a similar thing. So I'm going to go UCLA. And Arizona, Wisconsin, I think this is where sort of the luck runs out. The freshman luck for Johnny Davis runs out. They're bound to have a really bad game. They struggled down the stretch of the season, so I'm a little worried that I put them so far. But like I said, this is my 22nd bracket. I can do whatever I want. So so I'm going to pick Arizona. So then we're set up for a West Coast showdown, UCLA and Arizona in New Orleans. So a little bit of an interesting national championship if it works out like this. Probably won't. Don't take my word on it. But I am going to go with Arizona. I just think they've been sort of my pick throughout the whole season. They've been the most consistent team, I think, the whole season. You know what you're going to get with them. You know, if a team comes in super hot, and they are beatable, but I just think it's going to take a really good performance to beat them. I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm going to go Arizona 76, UCLA 67, and that is going to be my national champion. Let's see the graphic. There we go. For some reason, I think with OBS it was delayed. All right, so I know this is probably a longer video. Yep, 20 minutes. I didn't want to make it this long, but let me know what your Final Four predictions are. Let me know who your Cinderella story is. I didn't really touch on that. Let me know, what one seed you think is going to be the easiest road. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and let's have a great tournament. It's March Madness!